Hello, how you doing? I'm Dr. Beverly, and I wanted to come in here and talk to you about guilt and blame and shame. Didn't add that on the title, but you know, they are the lowest vibrations, right? on the emotional chart of vibrations, they're the lowest. So why do we all feel it so much? Because we do. I mean, let's be honest. We all feel guilty. We all feel ashamed of things, and we all blame people until we learn better. So it's time to learn better. That's what I'm here for. Now, I'll be honest. The reason I came on here today is because I draw angel cards in the mornings, and what I drew today was innocence. Just let me read you a little bit about what it says. Everyone is guiltless in truth, as no one can alter God's handiwork of perfection. And it goes on to say, let's see where it is. If you're harboring guilt, release it to the heavens, the universe, whomever you choose. Of all the emotions, guilt has the lowest vibration, so it attracts negativity. Mm-hmm. And if you're judging others' guilt, this card reminds you to see the guidance with the godliness, the godliness within them to heal the situation, but you don't have to associate with them. Okay? This is the thing. When you forgive someone, you do not have to associate with them. Trust is completely different from forgiveness. And this card for me really struck a nerve today. If you've been in my world for very long, you know a little bit about my whole family situation because I kind of talk about everything. And I have an aunt who's in memory care in Tennessee. I live in Florida. Obviously, I can't just run up to see her, on a whim on a Tuesday, So I call. And in late April, my cousin, who is the power of attorney, not her daughter because she had no children, decided that all conversations had to be cleared through her. She has to give permission for it. Of course, when I asked her about this, because I called and the nurse said this, and she didn't give me permission, claiming that my aunt had a bad day and had been medicated. And I said, well, that's not what the nurse just told me. The nurse just told me she was sitting at dinner and laughing with people. And of course, my cousin went off on me, and I'm like, I got very angry. And I was blaming her for lots of things. For blocking this poor woman from having any outside contact. This 93-year-old woman with dementia. And I couldn't understand it. I still honestly don't understand what's going on because no one will tell me anything. I mean, obviously the nurses can't. The nurses are all very nice. Don't get me wrong, they're all very nice. And if I call and say, she won't answer my text or my calls, could you call her and see if it's okay if I talk to my aunt? Invariably, 90% of the time, I get a phone call back. Most of them say that they'll call me back either way. And a couple of the nurses know me because I've been up there enough times. So I still, like I said, I still don't know what's going on. I don't know why this has happened. But I was blaming her. Like I said, I was blaming her, thinking she's stealing her money. She's just wanting her to die. She doesn't want us to know how often or how little she's going to visit. I was blaming her for all kinds of things. And I was feeling guilty because we didn't do more to keep my cousin from becoming the power of attorney. I didn't do enough to convince my aunt not to let her be the power of attorney because we all know this particular cousin's history. She's not to be trusted. And so I don't trust her, but I also believe, and this card reminded me of my beliefs today, I do believe that somewhere along the line, back before we ever came here, we made contracts and we made these vows to people, and we asked people to help us do things. My nose is tickling. To help us do things to, whatever path we're on, whether it's unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness. And so we made pacts with people that, or with souls, that they needed, we asked for their help. Because how can I attain unconditional love or unconditional forgiveness if nobody does anything bad? Right? So I think these people agreed to do this to help us out. So they're really kind of guiltless in it. They're not to be blamed for it because we asked for their help. Their spirit is giving it. Maybe across lives, maybe not just in one life, but across all kinds of different lives. So, and we create our current reality. Whatever reality we're living, we created it because it was a time we wished for these things. I don't know what this is that I may have wished for regarding my aunt. But that's why they say be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. I don't know what this is regarding my cousin or my other cousins. So, like I said, I'm not sure. But I decided after reading this card, actually, I kind of decided a few days ago, I kept saying, I'm just going to send her love. I'm just send her love, send her love, send her love, send her love, send her love. So that maybe she will rescind this order that she keeps saying she didn't put in place. But the facility says she did. And, I tend to believe the facility. When multiple people at the facility are telling you this, hey, somewhere along the line, it's there. So I kept doing it then. I was sending love and sending love and sending love and trying to see the love in this from her point of view. You're trying to see from her point of view, where is the love? What is she thinking? Because I don't want to live out of fear. I don't want to make my judgments out of fear. And certainly when I was blaming and shame and, judging her lack of guilt, certainly I was living out of fear with that. And I don't want to live that way. I want to choose love instead. That's my goal. I falter at times because I am in this human form. And when you know somebody's history and you don't trust them, it's very easy to fall back into that. Right now, I kind of have to have this cousin in my life in order to speak to my aunt. But I know there will come a day I won't have to have her in my life. I will not have to have her in my life. And I have to admit, I'm looking forward to that day. Because I don't have to keep someone in my life that I don't trust. I can forgive her without ever speaking to her again. And I have said for a long time, honestly, once this particular aunt's funeral is done, because she's the last one other than my mother, once her funeral is over, I will never have to speak to this cousin again. Or maybe I should say once the will is settled. And I honestly don't think I'll have to just speak to her during that. I'm sure I can just speak to the attorney. But I do need to try to see the love in her, the godliness in her. It's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But if I've been able to do that with men who broke my heart, the man who defrauded me, and men who hurt me in other ways, people who hurt me in other ways, if I've been able to do that with them, then surely I can do this with a cousin that I was very close to when we were young children, when we happened to live in the same state just a couple of hours away. and with one that I've talked to for years, even though I quit trusting her a decade or so ago. I've still talked to her, and so surely I can forgive someone like that. I can forgive a family member, right? I know that all those other things, all those heartaches, the fraud, other situations that I frankly don't talk about, I can see the good that came out of them, the good that came out of the bad. It's hard to do when you're in the middle of it, which means that right now I'm having a difficult time seeing the good in this. But I'm trying. I'm trying hard not to blame her. I really am. But since she doesn't answer my text, or my phone calls, it does make it a little difficult. Someday, maybe I'll get answers. But in the meantime, this card, Innocence, is reminding me powerfully, because I was going through a lot last night with this situation. This card was from this morning, and it's reminding me very powerfully that it's not her fault. I'm trying to find the spot it goes into. It's not her fault. It's probably my fault. Check that. Not fault. It was probably our agreement. And I know people talk about, breaking the contracts and the vows and these things. But I have to go through this. I've had to go through the things that I've gone through in the past and forgive those people. But then here's the thing. If there's no guilt and there's no blame, is forgiveness necessary? Quite the little cycle there, isn't it? Quite a conundrum. I'm still going to forgive because I'm forgiving my soul. I'm forgiving actually, I'm not forgiving my soul. I'm forgiving myself to my soul. I'm asking my soul for forgiveness when I do hooponopono. When I say, I apologize, please forgive me, I'm asking that of my soul. Because I'm the one, human Beverly, am the one blaming, feeling anger, feeling even guilt, feeling guilty for blaming. When I tell myself I shouldn't blame her because there's no real guilt because she's just helping me move to my highest self, well, then I'm feeling guilty for blaming her, so I have to forgive myself again. See what I mean? Little cycle here. It's a little crazy. But my challenge to you, my invitation to you actually, is think about a time that something bad happened. Maybe it was something devastating that you thought you would never get over, or that it was going to take a whole lot for you to get over. You didn't think you could ever release it. You didn't think you could ever survive it even. And then go look at yourself in the mirror and remember Elton John. I'm still standing. Look in the mirror and say it. I'm still standing. Better than I ever did. Because you are. You're still standing. You're probably doing better than you were. It may not be in the same way. You may look at it at first and think, well, I have less money now because the fraud. But you know what? I've recouped all that money. But if it just happened, if I had thought about this just as right after it happened, but I knew I was better off with him out of my life. Maybe your heart's been broken. And you might think, yeah, but if that hadn't happened, we could have gotten married and had a couple of kids. But, because there's always a but there. But what might have happened? What else might have happened? Maybe he would have had a couple of kids, but maybe he would have turned out to be a bigger pain than he was when you were dating. Maybe you would not have evolved to where you are now. Everything that's happened to us has happened for us, for our growth. The human growth and the soul's growth. And the soul's growth is certainly much more important. But we, as humans, like to think about our human growth first. But when you really start to think about it, there's a lot of human growth there too. So, like I said, that's my invitation to you, is to think about something bad that happened and find the good that was in it. I know there's good in this. I know there's good in it. It does keep my mother from talking to her as often as she would like, because it's upsetting to my mother to talk to her sister. Because my aunt starts saying things like, "Can't you come visit me?" She sometimes forgets we live in Florida. And even when she does remember, she's like, "Well, can't you get on a plane and come visit?" My mother's 91 and has major hip problems. So sitting on the plane for all that time, difficult. And it also means, all this, it's a lot of, it's, extra money that my mother would normally be spending, and not even with the guarantee of being able to see her now. So that is, like I said, I guess that's one of the good things that's coming out of this. My mother doesn't have to hear my aunt cry as often, because when they used to speak on a regular basis, it was 3 or 4 times a day. And so my mother stayed upset. So maybe that's the good. Not sure about, and if I could gear some directly to her, I send love to her every day. But I have to admit, because I don't trust her, because I know her past, I know other things that she's done, it does make it a little difficult. So, what are your thoughts? And by the way, just want to tell you about a couple of events that I'm doing this month. This is June, and I am launching a new course, Manifest Your First or Next 10K. It's going to be awesome. It's so awesome. 10 calls. 2 90-minute calls on either end. Actually, 10 weeks. It's not 10 calls. It's 10 weeks. More like 18 calls. Because we're going to do healings. I love the simple practical exercises. I truly do. I love them, love them, love them, because they're so powerful and they're so simple to do. But we're also going to do healings and clearings. And that's where the real transformation happens. The simple practical exercises, they get you so far. They definitely get you started. Absolutely nothing wrong with them. That's how I got started. That's how I 10x my savings. It was through those simple practical exercises. It was the healings and the clearings after that moved me further. So that's why we're going to do a lot of healings and clearings. And the one we're doing this month on June 19th, mark your calendars, June 19th at 8 o'clock. You should be getting an email about this as soon as I write one, sometime later this week. And it's all aboard the I Can train. We are departing Stucksville with a destination of Confidence Town. Choo choo! Come on and join us. I hope you'll be there for that, because it's going to be awesome. And like I said, the other thing is the Manifest Your First or Next 10K course, geared toward anybody who's ready to stop playing small, who's ready to say, you know what? I've come about as far as I can go on my own, and as far as I can go with searching for free stuff, and I'm ready to invest. I'm ready to take the leap and do this thing. And if you're ready for that, male or female, if you're ready for that, come join me. Started the launch today, so you're going to start getting some emails about it. So enjoy them, read them. They're great emails, my humble opinion. So, and again, give me your comments and your thoughts on innocence, on guilt, shame, blame, forgiveness. Love to hear them. Talk to you later. Have a great day. Bye bye.